So today I'm making a herbal chai, and the base of a chai is black tea, and you can use any black tea that you like, whatever you have in the cupboard or whatever you like to drink as a black tea is fine. In this chai I'm going to have pink peppercorns, some star anise, cardamom, which is classic, and I've got some rose petals and some primrose flowers as the herbal element. You can add whatever herb you happen to have. This is ground ginger, and this I'm actually using powdered cinnamon. If I'll show you the recipe that I'm using, it calls for cinnamon sticks and I don't have any, so I'm just replacing that with 2 teaspoons of cinnamon powder instead, which is absolutely fine. And I'm using ground ginger, but I could use fresh ginger interchangeably. So that's the recipe that I'm going to be using now. So this is not for 1 cup. This is going to be to actually use and have in a jar. So I'll get that made up and then I can tell you more about the herbal chai. So let's get started. First of all, I'm having 6 tablespoons of the black tea as the base. 3, 4, so probably all of that. Yeah, that's everything in there, so that's really easy. And then the next is cardamom. Now, you could count out 30, or you could estimate. There's about 3 there. That's going to be all of that. It's the flowers, it's the rose and the primrose. So I'm putting 4 star anise in there. 1, 2, 3, 4 of those. And 2 teaspoons of pink peppercorns, and that's going to be all of the ground ginger, and 2 teaspoons of soup. So just need to mix that up. It is actually a very pretty tea. Now, as this is a herbal chai, I've put in my rose petals here and my primrose flowers, so I'm getting the benefits from that. But you could add in anything that you particularly like as a tea. You might particularly like nettle. You might particularly like lemon balm. Try to go for things that are quite light, because otherwise you don't want it to interact with the very heavy tannins of the black tea that we've got in there. So something quite light and floral is a little bit better, but really a chai will take pretty much any herb you want to put in there. So now I've got my chai. What am I actually going to do with it? So this here we can put, this is completely dry, there's no water in here whatsoever. I've used dried herbs for everything, I didn't use any fresh. So this could now go in a jar and be stored easily for 6 months. Obviously things do start to lose their potency, so try not to keep it too long, but as long as you use it within that time, that's fine. As long as there's no air and water getting to it, it's absolutely fine. So if we wanted to actually make this into a chai tea, we've got a couple of options. If you've ever made a traditional Indian chai before, usually it's made with water and milk and quite a lot of sugar, and all of these or very similar ingredients go into a big pan, like a big saucepan, and then they're steeped and boiled and then strained off, and then it's drunk. So you can do something similar, but you don't have to make huge batches if you just want to use 1 cup. So like we've looked at before, you could use a tea strainer, you could use an empty tea bag, that would be fine. and just put a couple of teaspoons of this mix into it per cup of hot water, and then you can choose to add milk and sugar to it if you want to, but you don't have to. Some people like it just on its own. Some people don't like things with black tea in that haven't got milk in or haven't got a plant milk substitute in it, so you can play with the recipe. Other ways that you can use it now, and this is something that I discovered on Pinterest recently, is using a French press. So this is what you would normally have with coffee, and actually putting your chai mix into the bottom of your French press and covering it hot water and actually steeping it that way. Very nice. If you were doing it for a couple of people, that's a really easy way of making a quick herbal chai, and it's not very messy. If you want, so there's another way if you want to make actually a chai concentrate. Now, we don't tend to have them so much in the UK, but I think you do get them in the US, and it's actually, if you go into something like a Starbucks, they will be making a chai from an actual liquid concentrate. So if you were making this into a chai concentrate, you would need to add about 1.5 litres of water to this amount of the chai. You would then bring it to the boil and simmer it for about 15 to 20 minutes. Then you want to actually start to reduce it to about half the amount of liquid. So you can do that. So at the point where you've actually simmered it for 10 to 20 minutes, you actually want to take out the plant material, because we still want to get as much of the medicinal properties as we can from these things. So strain it after 20 minutes, then return the liquid to a clean pan and reduce it to half its amount. You can add your sugar and your milk at this stage. It's up to you, or you can just leave it let it cool, and then you could bottle it and put it in the fridge. Now, the difficulty with this is really what we've done is we've made a decoction, and if you've seen the video about decoctions, you'll know that they actually only last about 3 days in the fridge. If you're adding your sugar to this mixture and then you're putting it in the fridge, you're going to extend the life of what is basically a decoction by a couple more days. So between 5 and 6 days this can last in the fridge if you've got the sugar in it. If you haven't, it's 3 days. So if you really love chai and you think, oh, it's really, I just want to quickly be able to heat some up, or you like to have it cold, because that's an option as well, especially if you're in a hot country, you could have it iced. So this concentrate you can then use half and half with either water or milk. So half of your mug would be the concentrate and half you would top up with either milk or water, depending on how you wanted it. And again, you don't have to use cow's milk or an animal milk, you can use a plant milk. It's completely up to you what kind you need or like to use. So there's a couple of different ways that you can use it there. I love the French press tip, and that's definitely something that I'm going to be using because I do love chai. It's one of my favourites. And that is what I'll be doing with this herbal chai that I've just made. So do leave a comment if you've made a chai before, or you've got any questions about the recipe. This recipe is just a really basic one, and you can really add in or take out as much or as little as you want, and that isn't a problem. If you don't like cinnamon, or if you don't like star anise, or if you don't like cardamom, you can quite easily just remove the ones that you don't like. Other things you can add in would be fruit peels, so orange peel for example, lemon peel. You could add dried berries if you had those and you wanted to, that would be fine. And as I said earlier, any of dried herbs that are floral or have high essential oils go well in this type of chai. Okay, so that's it for today.